Hey guys, Lindsay here. Welcome back to my channel. So are you sick of seeing this palette yet? I hope not, because if you are, I'm not sure why you would have clicked on this video, being that it wasn't a secret what this video was about. I definitely fell in love with this palette the second that ColourPop released the video about it. I think mostly I just loved the colors because, you know, I've been really into the whole green palette vibe lately. I'm definitely looking forward to the Certified Affinity 2 palette when that one drops. But the fact that ColourPop actually listened to their customers' feedback and the fact that their monochromatic palettes weren't quite monochromatic and, you know, people were just wanting a bit more from it, I'm glad that they listened and actually made a green palette that is entirely green. This is just beautiful. And I actually like the tones that they chose. They're actually pretty different from greens that I currently own, and with the Affinity 2 palette coming up that I've already pre-ordered, I feel like a lot of these tones are different from those tones as well. So I feel like I'm getting a good variety of greens in my life without it being too repetitive, so I'm perfectly fine with that. Plus, this little guy retails for only 12 bucks, so that's not a bad bargain right there. So yeah, I know that there are probably a ton of videos already on this palette and there's really only so much you can do with it, but I still wanted to do something, especially because this weekend is St. Patrick's Day, so I figured why not. I figure I'm gonna do two looks. I plan on doing two kind of simpler looks just because, I mean, again, not much you can do here. Like, I feel like you could get really complicated, but I'm not really in the mood to get complicated. So I'm thinking maybe some simpler looks, like 2 to 3 shadow looks. So I'll throw some swatches up on the screen in case you haven't actually seen any of the swatches or anybody's videos yet, in case you're curious. And then we'll get into two kind of simple looks with this palette. Hope you guys enjoy it. So here are all the beautiful green swatches. Starting off, we have Chances Are, Kiss My Hass, So So, Big Banks, Mary Jane, All of You, Act Natural, Mobamba, and Charmed. So full disclosure, you guys know I usually tend to layer up my swatches just because I want you guys to actually be able to see the colors. These last three right here, the darker shades, did swatch a bit patchier. They kind of needed a little bit more help and finessing to make the swatch look smooth. But again, this is just a finger swatch and this isn't really how I'm going to be using them on the eyes with the exception of maybe some of the shimmers. So I don't really put much stock in swatches. I just feel like this is a good visual so you guys can see what the colors look like side by side because sometimes they look a little different on the skin than they do in the pan. So let's go ahead and get into the first look. All right, let's start off look one. So I already have my lids primed with my Urban Decay Primer Potion, and I did set just the brow bone area with my translucent powder. So I left the lid itself tacky. The first shade that I'm gonna jump into is Charmed right there. I'm just gonna use a flat kind of fluffy brush, and I'm literally going to just pack this all over the lid. Okay, so just like I mentioned in the swatches, this shade as well as the other dark shade next to it can be a little bit sheer, which I don't necessarily mind for them being the two darkest shades in the palette. I feel like it gives them a little bit of variety or versatility, I guess, because you do have to layer it up to get something as opaque as this, but I'm hoping that's going to work in my favor because what I want to do next is just very lightly blend the crease without using another shade. So I'm hoping that since it was kind of a lighter shade, I'm hoping that it'll blend into itself and still be light. I don't know, we're gonna find out. I'm gonna take just a clean brush first and start buffing the edges. Then I'm gonna softly just tap back into Charmed, just get a little bit on there and start blending a little bit higher. I don't want this to go too high at all. I want this to be a fairly concentrated onto the lid type of look. Just kind of a little subtle smoky blend up the crease area. I'm liking the way that this is blending out so far. Same thing on this little outer portion, kind of very lightly just feather it out. I'm gonna give it a little more of a point. I'm liking that a lot actually. I'm gonna take just this tiny little brush just to get a little bit more control on this inner portion without it getting out of control. gonna go ahead and jump down to the bottom lash line since I am gonna keep on using this color. Like I said, I wanted this look to be really simple. In my eyes, simple. 2-3 shadows max. So I want to stick with Charmed, and I'm gonna use this really fat pencil brush to just kind of run some of this color underneath the lower lash line. And I'm gonna try to be soft about it, keeping more of the color concentrated at the lash line. Just kind of buff it out a little bit. Okay, so see, like really, really simple. That's what I was going for with this first look, is I just wanted it to be really simple. All right, so here's where we get to add the little bit of fun that I was kind of envisioning in this look. That's why I wanted to keep it so simple, is I want to do this Mary Jane shade as the liner, just so it's this really bright, fun pop of this neon chartreusey green. I do think I probably could get away with just lining with a wet brush, but I really wanted to stand out. So I'm gonna use this ColourPop white cream gel liner first and do my wing, and then top it with the Mary Jane shade. All right, I'm gonna get a little closer to my mirror for a second. I've never worked with these cream gel liners before. I guess I didn't expect them to be as soft, but it's fairly easy to work with. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. It's an interesting look. Okay, I'm gonna give this a second to dry before I go over the top of it. I think I wanna stick with a more like dark green. This one is from Maybelline, Lasting Drama Pencil in Jade Olive. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop this in the waterline while I wait for this liner to dry. And now for the moment of truth. I've got a tiny little angled brush. I sprayed it with setting spray, and I'm gonna use Mary Jane and top the white liner. All right, so I am gonna take that liner and give it a nice little inner lower lash line accent. And then I'm just gonna pop a little bit extra on the actual inner corner itself. I'm not gonna blow it out as much as I normally do. All right, I think that's all that I want to do for the eyes, but I do want just a little hint of a brighter inner corner pop. So I'm gonna dip into my Moon Twin palette from the Collective Cosmetics, and I'm just gonna grab this Emblazoned highlight shade right here. I love this as a topper because it's super chunky and glittery, and I'm literally just going to grab the tiniest bit and pop that right over the top of the green that we already have there. And it just gives a little bit more of like a reflectiveness. All right, let me go ahead and add mascara, and I'll find something for lips, and I'll show you the finished look. All right, here we go. This is the finished first look, a little bit simpler, kind of like I mentioned. Really the only complicated thing here is the liner, but literally you can just stamp it and take your time and you'll be just fine. I do feel like it worked better over the white liner. On this eye, I just tried testing it out using no liner, and I think it would have taken a lot of extra time to build it up. So I don't recommend that. If you have a white liner, I would say try that. But if you didn't have a white liner, if you didn't have a white liner, I think you could get away with just wetting the brush and like just really, really layering it. For the lips, I ended up doing a combo of Suva Beauty Awakening topped with Barely There from Dose of Colors. I don't like either of these by themselves on my lips, but together they're perfect. They give just the nice amount of glossiness, and like this is like not quite opaque enough. This is a little too pale. Perfect together. So, and like I mentioned, I didn't end up doing lashes. I just did 2 coats of, actually I did 3 coats of mascara. So I did also want to mention that the only thing I did differently other than adding mascara, like I said I was going to do, was I just took my little brush after I added that Collective Cosmetics highlighter over the top of this. I kind of just took the brush and just lightly dragged the highlighter portion up. So you got this little disbursement of glitter kind of going up a little bit. I don't know, I just don't like the little blob when you just do a blob of inner corner highlight. I don't like the way that looks on my eyes, but I didn't want to go too insane because I really wanted the liner to stand out. So like I said, I just kind of let the sparkle kind of trickle away, and I really like the way that that turned out. So yeah, that's the only thing I did different. So yeah, this is the first look. Let's go ahead and move into the second look. All right, let's get started on the look number 2. I kind of want this one to be a little bit softer, potentially even all matte. Not sure yet. Maybe just like a shimmer on the inner corner. So I do already have my lids primed with my primer potion, same as last time, and I went ahead and set the brow bone again. I want this to be a softer look. So I'm gonna start with a fluffy brush into this shade right here, which is Chances Are. And this is just gonna go through the crease. Bring it up a little higher onto the brow bone. I'm just gonna go ahead and do this eye while I'm doing the other one. I think I'm gonna go ahead and bring this light Chances Are shade just onto the lid. I may as well just keep on using the same brush. I'm just gonna bring it to this inner, just to the inner portion of the lid. Like I said, I don't entirely know what I'm doing yet. Just about that much. Okay, and then for the kind of middle to outer portion, I'm gonna use Kiss My Ass. And I'm gonna place this, ooh, really powdery. Place that into the crease. I'm going to avoid bringing it forward though. I wanna leave that inner portion nice and light. So I'm literally just putting it out here and blending. I really want to put that light color just all across the lid. What can I say? I like that really light color. It goes really nicely with my shirt. So I'm just going to take Chances Are and go ahead and place it across the rest of the lid. I told you guys I wanted these to be kind of simpler looks because I know I do a little bit more complicated looks a lot of the times, but let's be honest, we don't always want to do that in our daily lives. And I think that's just, it's such a gorgeous color. I really love it. All right, so now that that's down, I'm gonna go back into Kiss My Ass with a little bit fluffier of a brush and kind of work this onto the outer portion a bit so that it's a little deeper out here. Bring a little onto the lid. And bring a little outward, not too much, we're not going crazy here. And then once more back into our pale shade, Chances Are, and I'm just gonna blend over the top of the crease shade, the deeper one, just so that it blends a bit better. Just kind of lightly brushing over the top of it. Okay, I really like this so far. It's definitely just very light and airy. Very pretty, I like it. All right, I do think I wanna add a little bit of depth with the lower lash line, so I'm gonna take Act Natural down here and use that to line against the lash line. I think I am gonna stop though midway so that it stays kind of light and airy on the inner portion. And then I'm gonna take my pencil brush into Kiss My Ass and run that underneath the outer portion to blend down a bit. And then for the inner portion, I'm just going to use Chances Are. I'm gonna use a liner brush first, but then I might switch over to a pencil brush to get it a little bit more smoked out. Kind of layer it over the top of the center. And I am gonna go ahead and pop that pale shade into the inner corner for my highlight. I am gonna do a little highlighter on top of it, but I want this as my base. So if you liked it like this, you could just leave it. All right, I think I'm going to just dip into this Helia shade. This is from the ABH Aurora Glow Kit. Spray my brush. Just get a little bit of that green highlighter and just pop that right over the inner corner. Okay, I think I like that. It gives me a nice little pop of brightness, but it still kind of stays with that soft, kind of muted look. I do think I want to keep the green going with the liner, so I'm just going to stick with Teaspoon from ColourPop. I think I'm going to skip winged liner, but I do think I'm going to add lashes. So let me go ahead and do my mascara and pick out some lashes, and then we'll come back and do lips, or I might pick out lips. Not sure. We'll find out. Alright guys, so this is the finished second look. I definitely like the way that this look looks better with lashes. These are just the Ardell Wispy lashes. Quite honestly, if my lashes were this kind of, you know, thick and stood up this well, I probably would have liked this look without lashes. Just like the only reason I didn't do lashes on the first look is because I really didn't want to cover that liner too much, and I thought the liner kind of stood out on its own. With something like this, I do feel like you need to see those black lashes, but again, if your lashes will stand up, I think you'll be fine on your own. For me though, something like this helps a lot. I decided to keep the lips pretty toned down. I almost went in a deeper purple direction, but this look itself is just so light and airy, and especially like with my shirt and everything, I kind of wanted to keep with that, so I just used Tight Fit from ColourPop. It's just a beautiful kind of iridescent pinky shimmery gloss, and I just think it's a really beautiful light and airy look. I guess is the best way I can describe this one. I'm very happy with it. I love the way it's turned out. So I really like both looks. I feel like they're both really unique, and I do feel like they both were very kind of simple looks. So hopefully you guys appreciated a bit more of a simpler turn on my channel. I usually don't go with the basic 2 to 3 shadow type of looks, but I figured there are so many videos out on this palette by now. I figured you guys wouldn't mind something a little bit more basic. Every now and then I like doing something more basic. So I had fun with both these looks. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.